everyone. Welcome to DECKSIDE. I'm here with Jason the Ape, and we have a really special guest with us today. We have Jacopo Lanza, who's a creative and animation director. Jacopo, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to have you here. I know you also go by I Draw Animation,
Yeah,
as your handle. A lot of people refer to you as I Draw Animation, as well as Jack.
yes, and I heard even someone just saying I draw.
Yeah,
When I heard it, I was like, oh, I didn't know. But yeah, that's cool.
I was gonna say that's kind of a nice little nickname too.
Yeah, I actually started using it in a few places, but yeah, it's cool. It's weird because I draw animation. I've been using it for years, for as long as I've been in London, which is 17 years.
Nice.
And because it's literally what I do, and people are like, "Why you called I draw animation?" I was like, "This is what I do." Anyway,
It's what I
I mean,
do.
sorry.
you better secure that I draw, trademark before Apple comes and tries to use it someday, and you can get handled a nice check, man.
That's funny.
You knew that was coming. You knew it.
Someone said it
Nice to
before, I
meet
think.
you, man. Finally,
Speak.
like for a lot of us, we haven't had the pleasure to sit down and meet you since we're across the pond as it is, but we're all familiar with your art and very excited to talk to you and get to know a little bit more about your process as an artist and ask you and pick your brains about some of the certain drawings and projects you worked on, because there's quite a variety. And at one point, I even had the pleasure of having my ape animated by you, which is still a very
Yeah,
surreal, crazy experience. But yeah, very excited to have you here, man.
yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks. It's an honor to be here. I mean, I've seen uh, plenty of people that I've always looked up to in the space on this stage. So yeah,
That's
Awesome.
thank you.
awesome, man. Well, yeah, once again, an honor. You're an OG in my book. Being a part of this whole Web3 culture, especially pertaining to the Bored Ape Yacht Club, I've always seen your work kind of show up in many different ways, and it's always great when I see someone's work, and then when I know, when I go to I Draw Animation, I'm like, oh, I've seen that, I've seen that, I've seen that. I almost discover you as the artist after I've seen all of your work, and that is what's really cool about just being able to connect on deeper levels, especially throughout a couple of years now.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you mentioned drawing, animation. That's what you do. Before getting into Web3, you mentioned you spend a lot of time in London. How did you get to London doing what you do?
So it is a long story because I am 40, so that makes it that makes things longer. But I've been drawing since I was born. My dad was an architect. My mom was she worked as an interior designer.
Awesome.
And so I've always been around drawings and uh, yeah. So as far as I can remember, I've always been drawing. So I've always been pushed by my parents. I've always been, supported from that point of view. So although the Italian school system is weird, and if you go to an art school, to put it short, it doesn't give you many. Back then, it wouldn't have given you many chances to succeed or to get a proper career, or that was the perception, at least.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like that's the same perception out here in the States
I
too,
mean,
to be honest with you.
I did go to an Italian art school myself at one point, and
Yeah.
I don't really. Let's put it this way: I feel like I bought a degree.
where did you go? Which
I went
one
to
did you go?
I went to the Florence Design Academy in Florence, which
Okay.
was like 2 stores away from the Duomo. So it
Yeah,
was
okay.
a very cool experience. But
I mean, yeah,
I
that's
feel what
amazing.
you're saying.
Um, I think school-wise, it was the right choice for my parents to just push me to do something that would give me structure.
Mhm.
Because naturally, I don't have structure. I've yeah. So I needed a path, or like at least an attempt to put structure to
Yeah, I
to
can
my
relate
life.
to that as a creative.
Yeah. So and then I ended up after high school. I've been drawing, and I was involved into like I remember I tried to do some graffiti. I wasn't good. I worked on a few one with one snowboarding brand on a design, and because I was snowboarding, and back then it was a cool thing to do. I'm from Turin, which is by the Alps. So for
Oh
us, it
yeah.
was, every weekend we go up and ski or snowboard. Yeah, so I did. I went to. Well, I always knew I wanted to draw,
Yeah.
and I wanted to make that my job, my everyday job. So, um, after high school, I went into the Fine Art Academy to study set design for theater,
Mm.
which I mean, I chose that because I thought it was really interesting. I liked it was a way to apply the skills to something creative, and there was a certain charm to theater and film. But it didn't really work out because it was so there that felt like a real waste of time because it was just people, everyone there was doing everything but creative or artistic things. It was just mainly the Fine Art Academy. Sounds it's a
Yeah.
mouthful. Yeah. So I left that, and out of chance, literally out of luck, my dad saw on a newspaper. I was going into the office with my dad to help him over summer, and he saw in the newspaper the application for the animation school. And then I was like,
Oh wow.
he said, you should do this. I feel like this is something for you. The application closes tomorrow, so you're gonna spend today putting together your work and apply. Uh, do it. So I did. But in my head, I was like, I'll never get through this because like animation is like is for people who are geniuses. They do like they do like they do magic. They do stuff that I would never work out. I had a
Yeah.
very low self-esteem, I suppose. But then I went it went through and I got
Wow.
through through the selection, and back then it was like 14 people every year and like
Wow.
hundreds and yeah,
And was that a
it
that,
was a national selection, so everyone
that was a
from all
school
over
in
Italy.
Italy?
Yeah, it still is. It's called Centro Sperimentale di Cinematografia. It's basically like it's a very old it's a very old school, and that section is just dedicated to animation and everything that is experimenting with video and video art. It was called at that point. It was even one of the choices. You could choose 2D, 3D, or video art. Yeah, so that's what I did. I ended up doing that. I went through all the selection stages. There were 3 selection stages, and I ended up with a bunch of people who were older and way better than I was at drawing. There were people who were there who knew already what animation was, and um, there were people there who got selected and they left anyway because they were like, no, I'm too good for it, and they were. And they are professionals in the animation industry right now. So that's how I ended up doing animation, and I just fell in love with it. There in that school, I just yeah, I feel like the day I got the email that said where I was the last in the list that announced that the people who went through all the selection, I realized, okay, my life as I know it is over because I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time doing this.
Wow.
So, and
Yeah.
I got that right because animation is very time consuming. And the school was at the time was in the hills around Turin, in a very segregated point. Um, and so I'd drive there every morning and sit in this. It was called box room, where there was only light boxes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because everything was on paper.
Oh,
And I remember the first time I did it on paper, and it was, yeah, I just literally like, yeah, you the first time you see your character come into life, um,
Hmm.
it's really hard not to get hooked on it. It's an amazing feeling. So that's
Oh, I
that's
love that.
yeah,
yeah, that's really
that's
cool.
yeah. So that's
So
how I got into it.
what got you to move from Italy over to London and
Well,
start doing your work over there?
yeah, so the school was 3 years of school. I had a lot of catch up to do with everyone else, and so I had a lot to. I was, I had some of the teachers were like from old school Disney tradition, and or they were trained by old school Disney animators, and
Hmm.
so I had a lot. I really had to like put in the work. And at the end of the 3 years, they were giving to three people uh, internships in Cartoon Network in London.
Oh
So
shoot.
yeah,
Dope.
I knew I have. They were basically they were like, okay, I gave myself a goal, and I was like, okay, that's what I want to do, and I made it somehow. And I feel like I was for some reason I was better than others in speaking English, so I think that helped as well. But yeah, so they picked me and two other people, and one of them is still here, is a friend of mine, and yeah, that's how I moved to London. I did my 3 months internship at Cartoon Network. And I went, I was 24 at the time, and I went from Turin, I say small town Turin. Turin is 1 million people. I mean, if you're in LA, yeah, Turin for you is a small town. But for Italy, Turin is decent sized town.
Yeah.
Like, and I moved from Turin to London. Never been to London before, and it was just like,
Wow.
like yeah, like it's like the feeling when I moved
Big
there, I
city,
moved
huh?
was just yeah, it was incredible. And yeah, I everyone was saying, everyone told me, okay, you're gonna move to London. Well done, you made it. Gonna move to London, and the food is gonna be hard. It's gonna be crap. Your the weather is gonna be horrible. You'll be back in 3 months, and I've been here for 17 years. So
There
like,
he is.
yeah, well, is it 17? But I've been roughly, yeah. After the internship, I carried on freelancing for Cartoon Network and eventually other clients. I did Cartoon Network was the most constant source of work
Okay.
at the time. But then I did a job or a couple of jobs for an agency for Disney, and I got in onboarded onto like a self-funded series by a director um, very early who needed help with character design and storyboarding and then animating a whole series for children. It's called Wildlife Jack, and I helped with that, and then it went on and got co-produced by Disney Junior, and then at the same time also after, so how long it was, well, after 4 years, 3 4 years that I was freelancing, I got offered a full-time job at a iGaming company, um, and I accepted it because freelancing was fun but also nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
So I got the I just I never gambled before. I still don't gamble. Um, and but I got, yeah, got a job, and I was the only animator when I joined. Um, they hired me as an animator, and then within a year, the company grew massively, and they made me head of animation, and I was at that point I had hiring power. I was power. I was in charge of hiring
Yep.
animators and selecting animators, and
Wow.
within a couple of years, I built up a team of about. In the end, it was like 35 people, and
Ooh.
there was a lot of fun, and I there was a lot of fun, and the best work I have done was working with a team where
Right.
I was actually maybe just doing very quick storyboards or very quick concepts, and helping everyone else doing their job. And I had incredible people on the team, like really really talented people. I can't like I think that's one of the best things that's happened from a professional point of view, to get a chance to to hire some people that then went off and
Yeah.
became
Oh, wow.
incredible artists, and then yeah, work with them.
I was going to say, like, just hearing your story starting off as like, yo, I'll never like whoever's doing animation, that's like way beyond me. And yet you're like, all right, I got to sign up, especially with my other peers that already have like a head start. And then working your way to a place where you got some really good dope contracts, you got an internship, you're in London now, and then all of a sudden now you're working with a team and the production is getting, much grander. And you're learning how to kind of do your best work with other people and mentor people and give feedback and still be able to contribute. I'm curious, like kind of fast forwarding a little bit, how did you kind of get involved in Web3? Because you're so present in the Bored Ape Yacht Club community. Early on, I've seen a lot of your work, derivative work, a lot of OGs would have stuff like that, like Grateful, that has your stuff. You've animated Jason the Ape, Baron von Hustle. You've animated several other people, NGB Spend, the Wagner brothers. So I'm really curious about like how did you get involved with that? Because there's a lot of artists that are current artists and creators. They can look at Bored Apes, they can immediately be like, yo, like I'm priced out of a lot of this stuff. I can't buy an NFT just to be a part of the community. But, correct me if I'm wrong, like I've seen you put in the work even prior to even owning any sort of Bored Ape or Mutant or any of that. Like you as an artist were kind of working with the community, and you've been able to make a name for your work and yourself just within the community, which kind of really like grew. And I'm really curious about that story.
Well, basically, one day I got an email. So I got an email saying, "Hey, someone was looking for a 2D animator to animate their Bored Ape," and because I missed Mint, I had a wallet, and I think I was following, and I was trying to get like onto NBA Top Shop and but I think I tried to mint something on Variable. It was very early, it was late 2020 or very early 2021. Because in my old team, the team that I built, there were people who were into crypto and who were like keeping me up to date with stuff.
Wow.
And at some point, I even like bought ETH and lost it. I don't know. Yeah, but anyway,
That checks out.
yeah, and yeah, just because of the time, I didn't even have I didn't have a clue. But yeah, I think I tried to make something variable, and then life got in the way. I was in Clubhouse with
Yeah.
with listening to to NFT rooms, and I was really trying to understand, and I think I understood it, but life got in the way, and I didn't have the mental space. I had a 1 year old, and a lot was happening, especially around the time of mint. I literally, like, timing was all off. Anyway, at the end of that summer, I got an email saying someone is looking for an animator, 2D animator, to animate the Bored Ape. And I just saw the picture. It was Nolan Martin. He had a Bored Ape. He's an artist. He's a really good artist. And which was, the whole thing was strange, because, like, he's an artist, surely
Yeah.
he can do it. But then, yeah, it just made me realize that he's amazing at doing motion graphics in 3D, but he wouldn't animate his own 2D ape in 2D, because he can't.
Wow.
So yeah, and it was red fur, coin eye, flip brain, unshaven, on aquamarine background, and I just looked at the ape, and I
Following
was
the
like,
traits. I love it.
I was like, this is amazing. For some reason, it had something. The design itself, it had something that when I saw it, it was like, this is kind of like as if they took Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and somehow, like, superheroes, like Marvel early Superman. I don't know. It had a whole vibe to it that I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I was like, look, I'll do it. I'll lower my rate, whatever. I'll do it. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. So I did it, and then it was the first time I was actually animating in a long time, because I kind of like lost touch with the craft, because I
Right.
was managing a team, and I wasn't doing it. I was barely even. I mean, I was always drawing, but not with as much constant as I would have liked.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah, so I've done that, and then since then it's just been. I think there was the one straight after was. There's another guy, and he still owns his apes and mutant. One, I think, I don't know. I think it's one ape, and his mutants. His name is Artoscope with a four RTOscope. And there was the ape smoking a joint. So I made the ape smoking a joint, and then it was like, yeah, everyone after Martin's ape, I was like, I started looking into it, and then I shared the ape, and my friend was like, do you know what that is? And I was like, I don't really. I mean, and I was like, as I was animating the flip frame, I was like, BAYC, what is it? What does it mean? Like,
Yeah.
I remember thinking, this is cool. I loved it, but I didn't really have a clue. And then, anyway, my friend was like, do you know what it is? And he told me about it. I was like, yeah, they are like worth a lot of money, and they were probably worth what they're worth now, at that time, which is a lot of money still.
Yeah.
And so I just did that, and then it seems like there is a connection between weed and apes, so that was quite successful. And then after that, I animated a mutant smoking a serum, an empty serum, and well, his ape turns into his mutant. And then at the time, there were basically just one after the other. Like, I had a calendar that was piling up, and I just got onto it. I revived my Twitter page, and I was just doing it. But at the same time, just to answer your question, so I took a long way, but at the same time, I got after that one animation of ape smoking a joint, Richard Wagner reached out, and he was like, "Hey, I want to talk to you. We have a project, and I want to talk to you about my project." So I got on a call with Boris and Richard, and Mike, I think, was there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was there. and they were just describing the Spoiled Banana Society, and they got me on board because I was like, yeah, the project was new, innovative, and I knew nothing about football, American football. Um, but I embraced it and I watched it, and I never really played fantasy football, but
Yeah.
still, I have a card. But yeah, so they got me on board, and they're like, everyone was an OGA, and they were like, we want this project to be made by apes. So we want you to feel like you belong, and we want you to feel like you're one of us. So we have a few mutants that you can use, and you know, just pick one.
Wow.
I didn't, but so technically it wasn't in my wallet, but it belonged to the business.
Okay.
Um, and so it was, so yeah, I picked one, and yeah, I mean, I still feel like that was me, and in a way, I still do. Yeah, and that was like it, it was. I think I really the value itself. I never really cared much because the real value comes from all the huge opportunities that it opened up for me.
Right.
Mm.
Just being there, part of the project, and then rocking a mutant as my PFP. And they were like, you can also choose an ape if you want. And I was like, no, because I just vibed with the mutants.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love apes, but
The mutants are
mutants
very
are.
colorful and kind of like artistically appealing. I think they have a better resolution. They were more stunning to me when I saw them originally, so I could understand the appeal.
Yeah. I mean, I like them all. I can't.
Do you have a
But
preference between the M1s and M2s? Do you have one like affinity more towards like the M1s or M2s?
I mean, I love M2s. Yeah,
All right.
Yeah,
Just
very
curious.
good.
yeah. I,
Well,
I, I mean, I also like M1s, and mine is an M1, but it's
Yeah.
uh, yeah. I love M2s.
it's pretty
They
awesome how your art kind of caught on like wildfire, right? So you had the first animation, like you said, then the Wagner brothers, brought you into the tier, and that was one of the first things I remember was seeing someone smoking a M2 serum bong,
yeah.
and being like, wow, this is cool. And then I think at one point you even did Gwyneth Paltrow's Bored Ape, I believe.
Yeah, so that was wild.
Yeah, how'd that
Um,
come about?
I mean, so
Hello.
I was, it was weird. I can't forget the fact that I was at someone's wedding, drinking after months of non-drinking, and I got a DM on Instagram from Guy Osiri, um,
Oh, no way.
Really?
saying, hey, would you animate my ape, and I would like you could you get on a call, or I'd like you to put in touch with Ivan from Moonpay.
Yep.
I was like, I'm very sorry, I am at a wedding, and so I can do tomorrow. So I got on a call with Guy on the Sunday. This was on Saturday. And he said, "Yeah, let's have a call with Ivan," and I had a call with both. And all of these was like, I mean, but at that point, I had a laptop, an iPad, and I was in a corner in my lounge. Like, and I was like, I'm on the phone with Madonna's manager. I was like, this is. I don't think I understand how this is happening. But and then he just said like, oh, we love your work, and we are onboarding Ghana onto. We are announcing that Ghana bought his Bored Ape, Butter. I think it was called.
Oh yeah,
And
nice.
there's a video where he also gets the tattoo of his ape, and and he was like, so yeah, we would like we would like you to animate his ape. And I was like, when do you need it? Tomorrow. I was like, okay.
Oh, this was for Gunna?
Yeah, so this is when I started like I quit sleeping for a while,
I
because
bet.
then all the requests that came through, they were like, oh, we like this, we were like, I don't need, so yeah, I mean, some of the animations, one of the animations I did was it was never published, right? I don't know why, but it was never published. But I just still can't believe that once I got an SMS from Ivan saying like, "Hey, would you animate Gwyneth Paltrow's ape?" And I was like, "Sure."
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. It was a long, yeah, yeah.
That's pretty
It's quite
cool.
crazy.
Amazing. I think it
Yeah, and
speaks to the power of the network, right? Like people were impressed with what you did, and they aligned with, you know, wanting what you were making, and boom, all of a sudden you're getting calls from the top of the line.
yeah, I mean, guys said, you know, we would like to do this because we think the community really loves you, and I think it would be nice to welcome someone with the work from someone from the community. So, yeah, you know, that I was like, it was honestly, it's been a wild ride, and also and amazing. Like the opportunities that I have been given are incredible. So, and this is thanks to the Board Ape Yacht Club. Just to
What
put it straight, you know. So,
I mean, that's pretty cool, because I think there is something about, there's a group of people, a community of people, all showcasing like what they can bring to the space. And a lot of these projects are like proof of concepts almost. It's like, oh, you know what? Let's try this out. But because of that proof of concept, that gets put out, shared with a larger audience, and then someone takes that and was like, hey, I think we can do this, and then it just kind of has this trickle effect where now, like, that you've done this, and even though this was for fun or this was a proof of concept, that actually opened up the door to work on this project. It could be separate, it could be Bored Ape related, but I also think that even from a project standpoint, like with Bored Apes, I think those are important things, like to contribute to the culture, is like find someone within the community to actually help continue this. You know what I mean? And I
yeah,
love that kind of cosign, because it really shows the support for the community. And hopefully we see more of it. You know what I mean? Like if they continue to find opportunities to do things on a more grand stage, dig into the community of people who are capable of doing it.
yeah, 100%. I mean, which I love. Yeah, which is why I really love when projects do that and take. And like I think at some point there was uh, Lior shirt, the hound, I think it was one of the trailers for Serum City, and he said this is all done by in-house, by our studio in-house, and I was like, that's amazing, because I know that 90% of the people in there are Web3 native artists, or artists that got pulled in because they were part of the community. And yeah, so I really, really, I love that. And I think you guys doing that as well.
I apologize. I was say I think that's why it's inspirational to talk to an artist like yourself, right? And why we're excited to have you on DECKSIDE is we try to have conversations with people that, you know, uh, the community out there may want to emulate to some degree. And to Sean's point, like there's a lot of artists and creatives who want to figure out how to work in Web3. And from what I'm gathering based on our conversation, it was you just starting with one person to help, accomplish one animation. more people liked it, and there was a snowball effect, right? So sometimes it's as simple as just doing that first thing that you already like, and you already were an animator, you know, very talented, but because you had this professional career, you get disattached from that, like that day-to-day grind and art that you grew up on, right? And so I think a lot of artists have shared their journey back to this Web3 because it's that sense of creativity, freedom. Like now they get to play again with all that lifetime of valuable learning that they've done. So I think that's really
Mm.
awesome, just to kind of redigest that moment for anyone who is an artist or just looking to get involved. Like, how do you do it? And it's simply like, how did you get involved with that first ape? Did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them?
No, literally. I think he actually put the post on a freelancer hub, and I just went in, and I think I was first, or maybe like, I mean, just because I love the character, I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I want it.
Wow.
I'm doing it. Yeah,
That's
Talk
awesome.
about onboarding. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Well, what was
yeah.
it like to tap into the whole community aspect? Because I've worked with, I'm an artist myself, but I've also worked as a producer, working with multiple artists on a particular project, lots of video stuff. And not everyone is really tuned in to the whole community aspect of Web3. And oftentimes I try and share, like, one of the really cool things about this is, like, you can share your work, and then all of a sudden you're now networked with a lot of other people that might like this work, that might want it for themselves. Like, there's a way you can tap into the community in some respect, and a lot of people talk about it, but I'm curious, from your standpoint as an artist, how has this shaped kind of the way how has it been beneficial for you to kind of tap into the community aspect?
I often think about how the highlight would be I animated famous people's apes, right? But the reality is that I wouldn't have gotten there without community members just coming up to me and saying, I could you animate my ape?" Which is I to this day, when I'm doing a lot of static illustrations at the moment for a lot of apes, and uh, that you know uh, it's basically like a constant chain of support,
Mhm.
and even on my end, like I've like for instance, the reason why I have um, uh, a lot of commissions at the moment is because I said, okay, I just I haven't spent since I started drawing board apes that one day. I don't think I've gone one day without drawing board apes. So
Wow.
I'll do it anyway.
That's amazing.
I'll do it. I'll say the promotion was like, for 0.2, I'll do a static image and a banner, or the proud and BAYC image where does the ape, your ape holding the flag, and that's happened because I wanted to do that because it was like, yeah, 0.2 is lower than
Yeah.
my daily rate, but it doesn't really matter because
But it's just kind of like
I'm doing it. Yeah,
contributing to the culture.
yeah, and I feel like, I mean, first of all, I am getting paid for it, but it's also like I'm trying to give a little more,
Yeah.
and because I think in the long run that pays back.
Mm.
And it is not why I do it, but
It's
then at the same
rewarding.
time, it's
Yeah.
rewarding. Yeah, it is, and it's just beside, like, I mean, Made by Apes is kind of an example of for me, the way I see it is like the community for some reason attracted a whole bunch of people who are creative from all points of view, as in not just the people who are good at art, but also people who are good at like making business or making things happen. Um, and Made by Apes itself, it just sparked a whole lot of opportunities for artists as well. Or I mean, at least it has for me, because I am helping a lot of people with the branding, or even just posters or illustrations for the new brands that.
Yeah, a lot of them are bringing their IP to life in so many different ways, and it's like you have to kind of almost work. Either you do the artwork yourself, or you're working with people like yourself that
Yeah.
is helping to bring this idea and these concepts to life using the IP.
Yeah, and yes,
Yeah,
I think people outside have not really realized the power of this yet. And I mean, I'm here because I believe that they will. And I mean, I'm here because I'm having fun, but also because I think that they will at some point.
Well, that's super important. You got to have fun to stay, and you seem to be doing stuff that it gives you a sense of inspiration, right? And so, like, if you're drawing apes every day, you're not doing it because it's boring. You're doing it because you're enjoying it, and on top of it, you get some, a little bit of ETH to continue the journey. But like, I just pulled this up on the screen, and I'm gonna kind of just let people know if they're just listening, what's on the screen here. It's a Grateful Ape chocolate, and this is just to piggyback on what you just said, working with community members and friends to help them create, a static image for their product, right? So Grateful Ape, beautiful pink ape, you've created some really cool illustrations for the packaging of his chocolate, right? And so as we scroll down here, I mean, it even has its little chimpers that he's looking at. Like,
so
this
cool.
is awesome. This is
so
but
cool.
That was a cross community
Collab, yeah.
activation, yeah, collab that they did with. It was one of the prizes for the
chimpers.
Adventure 5, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Adventure 6 kicked off 2 days ago. I already got 2 rolls in. I'm
Yeah, I need to get,
you know
because it
what?
wasn't working.
I think that's a great example of, someone like Grateful who's bringing their IP to life, very passionate about kind of doing that with their ape. And speaking of like your drawings, I want to maybe dig in a little bit to your process. You mentioned iPad. Is that what you're mostly using for some of your daily artwork?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, so my setup is I have a monitor there, my laptop there, and then I have a Cintiq, a Wacom Cintiq, and
Okay.
on the Cintiq I have an iPad.
Oh wow,
Which
awesome.
is kind of ridiculous, but because some of the things are like half Procreate, half Photoshop or Illustrator, and
You'll kind of, your workflow can depend on where the inspiration strikes, so to speak.
depends on what I need. So for animation, I stick to I use Adobe Animate,
Okay.
and After Effects. But for traditional, I use Adobe Animate, just because that's what I've always used, and I find the timeline very intuitive. And to be fair, it's what I've always used, so I kind of got used to it. But I use my Cintiq for that. It's nice and big, and I can move around. I can, and for illustrations, I just find Procreate
On the
more than
iPad.
more than Procreate. I find the complete lack of friction when I draw, which is very natural. I like that. Some people are like, "Oh, I miss the paper." I was like, I don't miss the paper because I draw on paper every day. When I wake up, I go have breakfast, sit down with the kids.
Yeah.
I have my sketchbook and I draw on paper. Then I come back up here and I like how smooth it is when I draw on iPad. That's for just me. I don't know, but and yeah. So the process for illustrations is
Yeah, like on
always.
this one right here, maybe, as I play it, you can kind of showcase like what it is you're thinking about, how you think about it in the different layers and how you try and build this up.
Yeah, so the way I think about it is always because the character is the main point of attention. The main focus of the illustration is the character. So and because I'm a 2D animator, I what is the most important thing is that the one pose is the pose I'm looking for, and it has a certain well, first of all, that it makes sense. So the volumes are right, or as much as it matters for the overall composition. But I just try to make sure that the volumes are right, that the intention is there. And once the intention is there, and that is the very, very first rough, is usually like, what is the ape doing? And the ape is reading a book or smoking or lighting a blunt or anything, riding a bike,
Yeah, it looks like it was
Well,
about to be holding something at first, maybe a
well,
basketball.
yeah. So I liked the because I know he's into basketball.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was because actually his ape was one of the first I animated back a couple of years ago. And he took me through the process of minting a piece on OpenSea. It was
Awesome.
GBA, and basically every Bored Ape who I worked for at the beginning taught me a lot about everything. Um, little little segment for that. But anyway, going back to this is um,
So
so
once
yeah,
you
he
find the
at the
ape,
beginning I wanted him to be holding the bowl, and I wanted the bowl to be on fire, and I wanted him to be lighting the blunt with the ball on fire.
oh shit.
Sounds
Yeah, yeah, but then I also didn't really like the way his face looked, and the hoop was in not a yeah, it was the composition was not
You started to
how
draw it
it's.
out and you're like, and then it looks like you're like, all right, I'm going back to the
No,
drawing board.
I did both, and I sent them both to him because I wanted to
Okay.
give him the option. I also told him that maybe one day I'll do this one as well.
Nice.
And then yeah, once I'm happy with that, and like with the background, and I get the composition, then I just go and clean up. Uh, yeah, that's what I'm doing here. Making sure that sometimes I do like a tie down as I am doing the cleanup, especially for things like hands or very complex mutant parts. I have to go back and redraw the volume and see that it works. And then once the cleanup is done, I do the values. Um, so just check,
Right here.
yeah, um, where the light goes and the depth. Yep, and then I go and do coloring. Well, in this case, I actually did the coloring because the base color is the base color. I'm not gonna change that.
Yeah. Okay. And then you go and start doing the values right here where you're
Yeah.
starting to start with some shading
Yep.
and then some highlights, which was really cool to see. I thought that was one of the coolest parts that give it such a nice style is like your lighting and all the values that are coming off of that. So,
Yeah, it's
you
pretty. Yeah, if you,
even
I
just the
mean,
chair, it's like cool.
yeah, I was like, do I need to draw the chair? And then I, so because I'm doing another piece, and I've drawn it the whole background, and then I realized that the ape covers a very big chunk of it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I've always been taught that, like, regardless, if you put as much as you can attention to detail, in the end it helps the final result. So
Mm.
I mean, these are stunning, and it absolutely looks like there's a ton of attention to detail. And you said something that makes me want to ask you this: is I'm, and I think others are going to be curious about this. Is are you still animating for people? And if someone says, hey, I love this, I would love to get my ape or mutant animated by you, like, how does someone reach out to you and do that? Or is that still something you're doing as a service?
Yeah, I'm doing it. I do it as a service. Yeah, yeah. As in, you can. I am doxed all over the place, but you can reach out on, go on my website. You can message me, or you can DM. People can DM, and people do DM and ask for animation, and yeah, I still animate. Um, I'm still animating apes.
So simply just reach out on your
Yep,
socials and just like start the conversation if anyone's curious.
His
yep.
pinned tweet is right here. To celebrate 2 years of MAYC for the next week, you can book your MAYC BAYC static derivative for 0.2 ETH and include it in Proud and BAYC illustration or Twitter banner featuring the artwork. DM if interested. This recent one was cool too. Like just going back to
Yeah.
Sven. This is sick,
Yeah, it
man.
was down board, I think.
Oh
I don't know
yeah,
what.
damn board. Yeah.
Yeah.
I might have to
It was
get
a
one of these for my birthday as a birthday gift to myself because this is pretty cool.
when's your birthday?
Not for a while, but when I do, I always like to buy myself a birthday gift every year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this was cool too. The Fuck It Friday event and how you incorporated a lot of the community members that were throwing that event.
Yeah.
I mean, I had doing this. I had a lot of fun. Right?
Yeah,
This is the thing. Yeah, I end up like now my calendar is really full, and but I always take on commissions because people come to me and say, "Hey, can you do this? My ape doing this," and I just I just love them. I have to do it. It's like yeah, I just have a lot of fun, especially like these when I mean I think ox buffaloes is a grail, so I was like, yeah, I'll do it, or whatever it is,
Right.
and I just really I had a lot of fun doing this, a lot.
You know,
And
when we were in Miami, these were all over the streets in terms of posters, man. And my girlfriend didn't tell me that she snagged one off the wall. So when I was unpacking the luggage, I pulled out one of your posters that I think is a grail piece. Like I love collecting these Bored Ape posters. So
that's
I don't think too
awesome.
many people collected
my
that.
heavy's in the corner as well.
Oh,
I was
sick.
gonna ask.
Yeah.
I saw that heavy. I've seen the animation as well. If I can quickly find it, those heavy animations, I'm a big fan of.
Absolutely.
I find. I mean, look at the kingship.
Yeah, that's
Stuff.
another thing, Sean, that we haven't even talked about is like, you did the animation for Kingship and you said this earlier, Sean, so well is you've seen Jacopo's art everywhere. You just may not have realized he was the one drawing it is oftentimes what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've
Some,
seen his work. You've
some
seen his work.
days. Oh yeah. Now is I just I did an animation for Sep sauce
Oh
for
yeah, yeah.
a fine, yeah. And then today I didn't actually have time because because my life is because I still have my 9 to 5 job as an art director for this iGaming company, and then but then I also do this, and I also have 2 children, and so it's like today I haven't had time to GM or be online
No
much.
GM
So
time.
no, I was thinking,
That's how
well,
you know you're behind. Is you have no. Oh, I
I'm
love
like.
them too.
Like today, I was thinking today I haven't been present, so it's okay. And then I got a message from Sep saying, "Hey, I just shared the animation." So okay,
Wow,
I
nice.
see.
The
Yeah,
doggo is cool in that one, man. That's
yeah.
neat.
That's the thing about my post. I don't mention it in the post, but um, mutants and apes, but also doggo. That was my first doggo. I loved working with the doggo,
Oh,
and
Oh, we
doggos.
gotta see more
it's
of
so
those, man.
good. So
Yeah,
good.
doggos,
Oh, look at
heavies.
this.
Oh, I didn't realize you did Snoop. I didn't realize you
Snoop.
did Snoop Say It as well. That's cool.
Well, so the story with that was Cordell. One evening, I was watching probably some crap TV, like I don't know, Married at First Sight or something. I don't know. On the sitting on the floor, and I got a DM from Cordell, and I was like, is this Snoop Dogg's son? And I
Yeah.
and I was like, he's messaging me, and I was like, hey, look, I was telling my girlfriend like, Snoop Dogg's son is messaging me. I was like, and then and
she's
then
she's fine.
I was like,
Just
and
tripping
then
out.
yeah, and then he was like, "Oh, I want to do something for my dad's birthday. Can you animate his ape,
Oh, nice.
smoking, dancing and smoking?" It's like, "Yeah, okay." So I did it, and then it was just before Super Bowl, and he the whole thing got lost in translation. Although
Oh,
I
I'm
did it,
sure. Yeah.
spent a whole night doing it to make it on time, and then it never really went anywhere. But then when I worked with Get Engaged on a few pieces with the ape that they bought for the MLS. It was what's it called? Striker, um, and I did one animation for them where there's a whole bunch of apes watching a game. And so there's apes that belong to a whole bunch of celebrities that like there's a Steve Aoki's ape and
That's so
Madonna's and
Wow.
I think it was Guys. Anyway, I got to use that animation in there. So
I
Yeah,
mean,
these
thinking about things getting lost, you know, that you did this one awesome one for me with the G Fuel stuff back in the day, and that didn't get to live as much as I wanted to see it out there. But you know, it was still nonetheless very cool just to be able to say I've been animated by you, and like Jacques Sean said, like we think of Jacopo or I Draw Animation as an OG in the space, you know, and to see your catalog of art is, man, this would be quite cool. And I think someday maybe you should do this. I'm going to throw it out there. It's like, if everyone would allow you to make some kind of book, you know, like I would love like a big static coffee book, you know, that had all these amazing different animation or images you've drawn, right? You can't put animations in a book yet. That technology doesn't
yeah,
Well, have you thought about,
that's
wow.
doing
cool. I
like
would love to.
a coin improvement proposal, doing some sort of way you can earn a grant to create something to catalog all of this?
I mean, I will need to put my head into it,
Yeah.
but yeah, potentially. I mean, I never really thought about a book, but that now that you say it, I think, I mean,
I'd
I
buy
would
it.
love that.
I'd buy one, you know, like, and I would be stoked.
If it happens, I'll send it to you for your birthday.
Sick.
Yeah.
I love it, dude. I just got these Bored Ape poker chips in the mail today from Mistaken President. So, you know, there's a lot
Oh,
of giving and giving
nice.
to the community. Yeah, I've been fiddling with them the whole time. That's why I keep muting myself, because otherwise you'd hear poker chips just clinging together.
I've been scrolling here. Here it is. I mean, I've been looking for your heavy that you've been drawing yourself, and you've kind of created a bunch of cool animations with it too. Let me see. So you're kind of posing it in different ways, and then it creates like this really amazing GIF that you just kind of have looped over. And these are some of my favorite animations that you've kind of come out with lately.
Yes, well, thank you. Well, I love doing those because I
Look at
love
this.
dynamics. I mean, I love my heavy battle, so I think
Is this
dynamics
just on
are.
Procreate right here?
Yeah, that's just Procreate. There was like a lunch break.
You
This
do
is
that in a lunch break? Get out of here,
yeah,
bro.
this is a lunch break. I'm trying to find some of the
Amazing.
other ones. Is it this one?
Wow.
Um yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like, I think, what do you think of the heavy metal kind of IP coming into the fold? It seems like you're excited about that style.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I love mechas. Unless I can't wait for the when
Evo 2.
yeah, Evo too. But to be honest, I was actually, yeah. To be honest, I love the way they look now, especially dynamics. I like knights as
Yeah.
well, but I like them all. I mean, everything that Yuga does is just yeah, it's gold for me. Yeah, I just love everything they do. They haven't done anything. They literally not done one thing that I don't like.
Where they
Um,
missed for you.
I feel that way when I'm looking at your Twitter page right now with just this big grin on my face, watching all your animations and drawings pop up and seeing, and that's part of it. The culture, right? Is some of these animations are of our friends that we've made over the last 2 years of being in the club. So it's not just a drawing to me when I look at it. It's a drawing of my friend or an animation of someone I know, and it speaks a little bit heavier to me when I look at it. I
Yeah.
love it, man.
I think it's that
thank
community
you.
aspect, that you constantly, that makes it intriguing, because sometimes I'll be like, oh, who is that? And I'm like, oh, okay, we follow each other. And then you get to, you're connected almost through your artwork, and I think that's really cool. At some point, I need to be able to have my ape kind of done up. So I might have to take
Oh.
advantage of this pinned tweet.
You know what we'll need to do,
Yeah,
man? We need an other space FM, Millie and Jason the Ape kind of something someday,
Yeah, maybe we could get both together, have something
I
where
mean,
it's both of us.
I'd love to do it.
Two for the price of one. Let's go, baby.
And you're also like pink ape and cheetah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Just
I
gotta
Yeah.
make
love
cheetah
they're
ape.
my favorite. Yeah, they're my favorite. Pink
Awesome.
ape and
Well,
cheetah.
thank
If
you so
I
Oh,
much.
hey, there we are right here.
Oh,
We're
there
on your
we
page.
go. No, I
yeah,
want to thank you for all the support you've given us as the Other Side community, because we are aware of who's with us along the way and who's actively part of our community, and you've been an active part of our community since, it feels like forever, since the beginning. So we want to take a moment and appreciate you and thank you for sharing your time and so much of your energy today. This was, for me, a very impactful conversation, and I hope for you out there, anyone listening, feels the same way, because Sean and I are both artists at heart. Sean's dad, to me, is the greatest artist I've ever known in my life. So to speak with artists and hear how they perceive this thing that I think is so beautiful and impactful to my life experience, it means the world to me. And I always say this: I only fanboy out about artists. I don't care about any other sort of celebrity. Artists are who get me the most excited. So I want to just also, from the bottom of my heart, say thank you for all the beauty you've brought to the Bored Ape culture with your
Yeah.
animation and art.
All the life.
Yeah, it's brought a lot of life to us, so we're grateful.
well, thank you. I mean, yeah, thanks for your support. Um, you know, uh, yeah. I mean, I'm to be honest, I'm grateful for everyone's support and like yeah, you guys. I mean, always supporting is amazing.
Just got
So
to keep
thank you.
getting you
Yeah,
more
thank you.
work. Everyone DM him and get your stuff animated, because this man has no free time, but he's willing to give you some of his art still.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna.
I have no free time, literally. It's like
Is there
I'm
anything and like the community can do to support what you're up to right now?
no, I mean just
Retweet
yeah.
what
I mean they can follow me. They can retweet. Yeah, I mean, if they like what I do, of course. If they like what I do, yeah. I think like repost, I guess you say now. Repost, like whatever. I appreciate it, and actually, like even just DMing to say hello or like to say, hey, I like your work. Um,
Love that.
means a lot.
it's yeah. I mean, it just means a lot, and a lot of people do it, and I'm like, man. Some days you need it. Because yeah, it's all you know, everything is great, and all the work I get is amazing, and I love doing it. And but yeah, of course, this is a wild ride, and it goes up and down, and so sometimes you're like, or sometimes as an artist, you're like, this is horrible. I want to redo it, or like I'm gonna give up. And then someone messages you and like, hey, I love your work. Can you work with my ape, or like,
Yeah.
and so sometimes people are priced out, but I'll be okay if your idea is cool, if I like your idea, it doesn't matter. We can work something out.
Yeah.
And although that may not be the best option for myself financially,
We get what you're saying though. Like it's always about the creating, it's about the connection, it's about the moment. So reach out, support.
And someone out there will be like, oh, you know what? He did this for me, and not only I like the piece, but I think he's a cool guy, right?
Yeah.
So
awesome,
anything. Yeah, I'm grateful for everything and everyone that I've met in my journey so far. So
that's why we love you.
Man. Yeah, we're grateful for you too. This has been an awesome episode of DECKSIDE. These are the types of conversations where it's like not often do you have an opportunity to be on the deck of a yacht in the middle of the swamp and talk to one of the legendary artists that's in the space right now. I Draw Animation. Please go follow Jacopo. Also goes by Jack or I Draw. And this has been a great episode. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you.